What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. Matt, we weren't able to bring a preview show, unfortunately. However, the Niners won. They took care of business. They did what they should have done. What are your initial reactions to the huge win?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be back. I know I had some stuff going on. I feel like I haven't been here in forever, but nice thing to come back to. 49ers took care of business. I know we didn't give you a preview show, but I feel like we all knew what was going to go down. This was just a thorough shellacking from the opening gun to the final seconds. And the 49ers did what good teams do, and that is handle opponents that you're supposed to beat. So I think at 5-5, I think the 49ers are kind of turning a corner a little bit. The last couple weeks have been pretty outstanding with what they've done. And I think that there are many factors to that. We can get into those, but it's nice to see them come out on top and do the things they need to do to get back into the wild card hunt.
Yeah, totally agree. And it was nice to see Jimmy Garoppolo come out. Again, I know you weren't here Monday night, but I wore this Monday night, and I kind of told myself, look, I probably wouldn't wear it again after the Colts debacle, complete meltdown. But Jimmy played well Monday night, and I feel like I had to keep it going. Just my superstitious brain was like,
Right.
it worked Monday night, you got to do today. And he played well. I mean, overall, he played a very efficient game, 16 for 22, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, most importantly. He's been taking care of the ball. Do you think just this fire of maybe getting benched has finally gotten hot enough for Jimmy to start playing well? Or do you think this is just who he is and this is what we've seen? And right now he's on a good streak.
If I'm being honest, I think it's less Jimmy starting to play well and Kyle being better at calling games. I think Kyle has hit a play calling stride. Because if you look, the last 2 weeks combined, Jimmy Garoppolo only has 41 pass attempts.
Right.
So, I mean, and you're talking about a team that's put up what was the Rams was 31-10.
Yeah.
So in the last 2 weeks, they're outscoring their opponents 61-20 with Jimmy Garoppolo only passing 41 times. They're being much more creative with how they use Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk has started getting into the offense. Having a healthy Kittle is making a difference. And the biggest thing, I think, is that the 49ers defense has started forcing turnovers, and the offense hasn't given the ball up. I think those are two huge things. Today, another thing that struck me was the fact that, minus a ticky-tack personal or a pass interference against Jaquaski Tart at the end of the game, 49ers didn't commit any penalties. So you're talking about a team that's, doing the things they need to do. I mean, Bosa's drawing more flags now on top of just, I think he's equal to sack total from his rookie season now. And so you look at these factors and playing clean football, being able to control the time of possession, which I think today it was pretty outsized. The 49ers had the ball for 38 minutes and 22 seconds. They had it for all but, I think, 2 minutes of that first quarter. So that initial 20-play drive, they only got 3 on it. You'd like to see them come away with 7. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about a 20-point win against a Jacksonville team on the road. It's a really nice win for them.
It really is. It's impressive. And you said it earlier, good teams, they win the games they're supposed to win. The 49ers were supposed to win this game, and luckily they did. They stay alive in the wild card hunt, which seemed almost unfathomable a couple of weeks ago, talking about a wild card spot for them. Excuse me, but it really is impressive what they've done the last 2 weeks. And yeah, Hunk Fat running game didn't fall apart without Mitchell or Hasty too. That's
no, but
one.
I think it's clear that Elijah Mitchell's the best running back on the team.
Without
and without Deebo Samuel on those plays, their running game was not very good. If we go, I think Jeff Wilson Jr. What do you have? I'm trying to look it up here. Sorry, Jeff Wilson 19 carries for 50 yards, not good. Trey Sermon 10 for 32, not good. So yeah, I mean Deebo was the guy on off 8 carries, 79 yards and a touchdown. But again, that's something that Kyle Shanahan is purposefully scheming. I don't think that you can count on that week in, week out. You need that running back that can get the ball. So it's clear to me that Elijah Mitchell is the best running back on the roster. Hopefully he can come back next week. I think they were kind of like trying to give him a little bit more time with that pin in his finger anyway. So hopefully he can be back and start doing some things. Because if you can combine Debo and Elijah Mitchell, that's a good running game right there.
That is one hell of a running game. Yeah, they weren't anywhere like they were Monday night with their running game, but it was enough. They totaled 171 yards rushing with all players. Debo, like you said, led the team with 79 yards. I was a little bummed they couldn't get him that 6 more yards to get 1,000 yards receiving, but that's all right. It's team first, and I doubt you'll see
For
Debo
who?
anywhere complaining. Debo.
Debo's still like 21 yards away from
He
1,000.
was 21 going into today.
Oh, was he?
And he had a 15-yard reception.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so close, but that's all right. That's all right. Team
We'll get
one,
it next week.
exactly. Yeah. Um, were you a little shocked, Matt, how late Kyle Shanahan switched Jimmy for Trey Lance?
No, not really. Because like Kyle's gonna wait until it was like about the time that it was, where it's like, okay, go out there, get a first down, so we can kneel this down. Just because that's how I've come to accept the fact that as long as Jimmy Garoppolo is playing well and the 49ers are winning, that we're not going to see Trey Lance. We're not going to see packages. We're not going to see this and this and that. It's almost like Trey Lance for this season is looked at as the backup quarterback at this point. So I get it. Kyle has explained that it takes him out of his rhythm as a play caller to switch between the two quarterbacks, and I'd rather have Kyle in rhythm. We've seen the last 2 weeks what that looks like, and it looks good. So, it's a bummer because we want to see Lance, and we'll get into it. Actually, we can get into it right now. There are throws that Jimmy just cannot make, that he continues to be unable to make. He missed multiple throws today, and 3 egregious ones that would have been touchdowns.
Yeah.
I feel like there was one to the outside, and that wouldn't have been a touchdown, but it was Jeff Wilson Jr. He was coming out of the flat. Jimmy throws it behind him, and Jeff Wilson has to like contort to catch it. Then there was the one wide open in the end zone that he missed with Jeff Wilson Jr. That was just an inexplicable miss. There was another one in the end zone, I believe, to Kyle Juszczyk that he missed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back the next play, and he did hit Ayuk, but that was Ayuk between the numbers. And then later on, he had that deep shot down the sideline to Deebo Samuel, who had beaten his man. There was no safety over the top because the safety shaded towards the center of the field, and Jimmy underthrew it, so Deebo had to halt his route. If he leads Deebo, that's 6, And we're talking about how Deebo Samuel's the first 1,000-yard receiver in San Francisco since Anquan Boldin. So there it's frustrating to like just watch Jimmy's spray chart. I still don't understand how teams don't just shade all of their coverage towards the middle and force Jimmy to throw outside, because he's going to make mistakes.
Yep.
He's not going to be able to make those throws, and it's kind of crazy. So
yeah, it was very unfortunate, and I tweeted out too, like that Debo play, like, oh, it hit him in the hands, was kind of awkward. You're like, no, it was a bad throw. It was a bad throw. He completely underthrew the ball.
Yeah, Debo had to break stride and slow down for that.
Yeah, and it was he kind of like turned around, and even though he almost hauled it in, if you get him a better ball, that's 6.
Right. Yeah, that was a better play on Debo. He didn't make the catch, but that's one of those like, people, if the ball hits your hands, you got to catch it. But that's like Debo's trying to play through a defender because Jimmy underthrows it. It's a different circumstance.
Yeah.
And so like I said this in the chat, and I maintain it to this day, that Jimmy Garoppolo is such a frustrating watch, because there are times like over the middle of the field, he plays so well in many circumstances, minus when he doesn't see the backside defender. That's a different thing. But outside the numbers, it's so frustrating. It's like watching a high school quarterback. It's not good.
Yeah. With that all said, though, the positive is that the 49ers are in a 3-way tie for the last 2 wildcard spots in the NFC. The Eagles beat the Saints, and the Vikings beat Green Bay.
Yeah, so it's Niners, Vikings, and Saints right now. And we play the Vikings next week.
It's going to be a big game. Yeah. Hopefully it's a repeat of that wild card game from 2019 where the Niners just beat them up.
I'm just hoping that if Shanahan loves Cousins as much as everybody thinks he does, that he studied enough Cousins that he knows how to beat him. So,
yeah, hopefully, man.
One thing that I will say, though, that has been a pleasant development is the last couple of weeks. I mean, ever since IU came out and said that him and Shanahan had that, hey, we had that talk, we had that meeting or whatever, each week it seems like Ayuk has gotten a little better, a little better, a little better. Man, he played like a number one receiver today. He looked great.
And he consistently just snags the ball out of the air of
Yeah.
very, very tough catches that could easily get picked, easily could get tipped. He's very impressive. And I totally agree with you, Matt. That was one of my notes for today. He led the team in receiving, 7 receptions for 85 yards and a
Yeah.
touchdown with the long of 34. It's very impressive.
And that's one of the things I noticed about Ayuk. Speaking of how you say he goes up and gets the ball, from the time that he plucks the ball out of the air and tucks it into his body is really fast. It's a very snappy motion where he just catches it and the ball's inside and protected.
Yeah.
It's really nice, especially because they're running him on a lot of those slants. They're running him on in routes. They're doing a lot of those things with him that kind of put him in harm's way. He's had some contact. He had that one breakaway where he was actually hit as the ball got to him and he just stayed on his feet. He kind of pinball off of the defender and was able to get more yardage, but he looks nice. He looks like the guy that we took in the first round. He looks like the guy from last year, and it's about time because now the weapons are starting to develop. This team is starting to gel at the right time. The defense is coming out. They're playing a lot better. It's pretty exciting, man. And, knock on wood, but like the 49ers seem to get out of another game with, relatively healthy. So I know we heard during the press conference, though, I guess somebody asked Trey Lance was limping or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
Yeah, after a carry, apparently he got up kind of lame, but unfortunately the same couldn't be said for the Jaguars, man. They were getting beat up left and right.
I think that hold on. If they're talking about the play where Lance ran the ball,
They were, yeah.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't come up limping. What happened was his sock was down by his ankle, so he bent down to pick up his sock. So I don't know because he took the next few snaps and didn't look like anything was wrong. So
yeah, but yeah, like I was saying, the Jaguars unfortunately got completely beat up today, and injury wise, not performance wise. It seemed like they were dropping like flies. I mean, it was very unfortunate.
Yeah, they had the 2 on that one play.
Yeah, and Agnew, you talked about it, and you were correct. It looked like his hip injury was very
so
serious.
like at first when I saw it live, it looked like he buckled. So I was like, oh, his knee is screwed up. He's got, it's probably like a big time knee injury. And then I watched the replay and the knee didn't buckle and his leg was like pinned and he folded over. And I'm like, man, that looks like that could be a danger for like a hip subluxation. So it turned out that it's more of the hip. I don't know the exact injury that it is, but yeah, I was ugly. It didn't look good.
Prayers up for them, man. It's very tough to deal with. The Niners have been there plenty of times, unfortunately. I want to talk about some of Josh Norman's comments in the post game. It's going on right now. We only wait for Kyle's to be done, and then we go on so we can talk football with you guys. But they've been asking him about how he's played and his turnovers that he's been creating. So you got to look for opportunities. They're all over the field. And then he was asked how the defense played last couple of games. He said exceptional. And then, which I thought was funny, y'all got to show my head coach some love. You've been getting him hell recently. So Norman knows what's up. Norman sees social media, obviously, and apparently the players know when Coach Shanahan is getting kind of torn apart on Twitter, which is funny. I thought that was funny. Rightfully so, though. I mean, let's be honest. They had been playing very ugly.
Yeah, there's been some unevenness, but I mean, Kyle has looked good these last few weeks. And I think that, again, if Kyle is – we talked a few weeks ago about, man, maybe he looks like he's just not into it or whatever. He's got that struggle face going on. I think that he's making it easier on himself, Let's get these blowout wins. Let's, go back to what we do, which is scheming up the run game, limit the opportunity. Because earlier on in the season, I mean, it seemed like they were throwing the ball an inordinate amount, more so than they should have been, considering Jimmy Garoppolo and his limitations. But now that they've kind of gone away from that, and now that you don't have the pressure of necessarily putting in Trey Lance right away because you're starting to win and you're in the hunt, now you can just go back to coaching and doing what you do best. And that's why I always was like, take the personnel decisions out of his hands. Just let him coach. If he's coaching, that's all. If all he's doing is coaching, he's in a good spot. It's when you start getting the too much power, like, oh man, I picked this guy, so I got to play him. Oh man, I picked this guy, so I got to play him. Or like, I don't like this guy, even though he's best for the team. You have to get away from that external stuff. All those externalities, they hamper him as a coach. So when he's out there and he's just scheming and drawing up plays, it's that's a thing of beauty. That's what you want to see. It reminds me of the old John Madden when he would get on the whiteboard, and just, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, and doing his thing. And that's what he loved to do. And for me, when I watch Kyle, I don't think he likes all of the media stuff. He doesn't like all the drama or anything like that. What he does like is drawing up plays and scheming his offense. So if he can do that, we're in a good spot.
Yeah, very well said. Brandon here says, can we talk about the first series? Another 18 plus drive.
Yep,
18
20
play plus
plays.
drive. Took most first
And
quarter.
it was
Yeah,
like
so
13:45 for that first drive.
yeah, insane. I mean, they ran 33 of the game's first 37 plays, and at one point they had more first downs, which 14, than total yards for the Jaguars,
Yeah.
which was 12 midway through the second quarter. Very impressive, and this is a totally different start than we've seen from the 49ers during their 4-game losing streak. When they were starting off very, very slow, they'd be lucky to go into halftime with the touchdown or a couple of first downs. This is a different team, and it's very impressive to see. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, though, Matt, it was a bit controversial on Twitter, obviously, that first drive, get all the way down inside the 3, and it's 4th and 1 from the 3, take a timeout, look to go for it, and then on the other end of the timeout, they end up sending Robbie Gould out there for the field goal. Do you think that was the right choice at that moment? I know in hindsight, yes, obviously not a big deal, but in
Right.
that moment.
I would have gone for it because not only were you, so it was 4th and 1 at the 2, so you had an opportunity to get a first down, if not a touchdown. I can understand if it was like 4th and goal from the 2, that's a little more dicey because you have to get those 2 yards. But I mean, you're looking at a team that does really well with Jimmy Garoppolo doing the quarterback sneaks, and you just needed that 1 yard. So I probably would have gone for it, but I'm not going to kill him for not. I think that he's had more egregious types of like what was it, the game against Arizona where he punted from like the 39? That was way worse. Punted from the 39 and they were down like 17 points. That was a way worse give up than this. This was, you got points. So you put a little pressure, and then of course they get the 3 and out and then march down the field and score a touchdown. So it was really a moot point after that. I think that he might have gone for it if it was more like the third quarter. But the fact that it was the opening drive of the game, I think that there's something in a coach's mind where he's like, man, I schemed all these plays. We had them on our sheet. We got to get something out of this. So I think that's where his mindset was at that time.
That's fair. I agree with that. I agree with you as well. I would have gone for it on 4th down because, like you said, you could have gotten the first down without scoring a touchdown. And it looked like he wanted to go. And I thought it was funny when they came back from halftime, the sideline reporter, I forget her name. I'm not sure if it was Laura Oakman or another. But she said, oh, I spoke to Kyle about that first drive. And he said, oh, it was killing me. I wanted to go for it so badly. But then I ultimately decided against it. And it's like, if you want to go for it, just go for it. But in hindsight, it wasn't a big deal because they won very, very comfortably. But
Yeah.
I like the aggressiveness previously. Obviously, they
Yeah.
went.
And I think they went for a 4th down later in the game, did they not?
They got the touchdown to Kittle on 4th down.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think the situation dictated why he took 3 points. I really do think that it's because of the fact that it was the opening drive, and it's like, we got to come away with points. I'd hate to. I mean, imagine having a 21 play drive where you get nothing.
Yeah.
So 3 is better than nothing. And I think he even alluded to that in the post-game presser where he's like, the wrong answer in that situation is 0 points.
Yeah. Which is correct. Yeah. That's a great take. So
yeah.
I do agree with that. Getting the points no matter what, especially because that could be demoralizing for an offense as well. You get all the way down there and then you come away with nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it wasn't a big deal because the Niners completely took care of business against the Jaguars. On the flip side, we've seen Trevor Lawrence be capable at times this season. I mean, he's got a very, very good arm. We know he can put the ball in tight spaces. How did you think the defense handled him overall today?
They were excellent. He looked bamboozled until they started playing soft. I mean, he couldn't seem to get anything going. The defense had 3 sacks. I know somebody in here, I think it was Ace, said that Bosa has 10 sacks in 10 games. He's at 9. I think they gave that first sack to Arden Key because Arden Key, I think, touched him first. So he was down by Arden Key. I think that was what it was. But, yeah, I mean, Bosa played excellently, putting pressure on the quarterback. And I think that the secondary, for the most part, did a really good job as well. I think having Jaquaski Tart back there in coverage and being that leader really shows. I know we all want to crown Hufanga. And, by the way, he had another pretty sweet hit today. But at the same time, I just, Tart has that veteran presence. And I think that as the team starts gelling into shape and you see people like Warner and Ward and, Eric Armstead, they had that players only meeting. And since then, it seems like the defense has really come together. So they did a great job today. I think that they had Trevor Lawrence fooled. He, was 16 to 25 for 158. But again, a lot of that came at the end of the game in garbage time. That's when they scored their touchdown. So you're talking about through 3.5 quarters, giving them only 3 points, forcing a couple turnovers. I know one was on a punt, but good coverage there, and heads up play by Sherfield to get down there. And then, of course, you have Norman forcing another one with what I think Scott called it the peanut punch, the peanut Tillman punch. So he's really good at those. So it was really nice. And Ace Bros saying it, Ward and Tart are a really good pair. I agree. They play well together. You can tell they gel. So the back end of that defense was nice and sound. And they played really well. So I couldn't be happier with the defense.
Yeah, I agree. Especially after the previous couple of weeks, they were just kind of getting manhandled out there. And that players only meeting seems to really helped. It seems that they've gotten in check and they're holding each other accountable, which is great. And like you said to start the show, Matt, they're finally getting turnovers, which is something they hadn't done for the first, 6 games of the season. So it's nice to see them finally start to get some balls back for the offense and short field.
Well, it's 2 more. I mean, through the first 9 games of the season, they were they were like second fewest turnovers in the NFL, like that they had forced. So getting 2 more is going to help with that. And if you can kind of consistently build up, I think there was a key stretch of like 4 or 5 games where they didn't get any turnovers on defense. And I think the law of averages will kind of wait that out. But yeah, it's really nice to see them actually forcing turnovers, and good for Fred Warner jumping on that fumble, unlike the last time where it just squibbed off his face mask. He finally got one, so good for All-Pro Fred doing the job. So real nice.
Right. Yeah. Which is interesting too, because speaking of turnovers, on the flip side, I see that they haven't turned the ball over in 4 games this season, and they're 4-0 when they don't turn the ball over.
Clean football, man. Clean football. Yeah. Because, I mean, if you look at the other stats, like really, what are we looking at? I mean, they were still only 6 of 12 on third down. It's not like they were super third down efficient. The thing that they cleaned up was, hey, penalties are cleaned up and we're not turning the football over. And those are things that are going to help you win games, all other things being equal. Those are the things that keep you in games, not shooting yourself in the foot, not making those mistakes and giving up possessions. And I think that really shows. It showed today. It showed last week. I thought they played a hell of a game last week. I wasn't here to kind of comment on it, but it was an outstanding game, and they carried the momentum in this week. And so let's see what they look like going forward. But this more efficient, protective of the ball, protective of not getting penalties 49ers team is a breath of fresh air to watch. And they can withstand some of the limitations that Jimmy Garoppolo has because they've shored up the other areas. You're not asking Jimmy to carry you. The team is actually carrying Jimmy. And I think that is the recipe for success right now for the 49ers.
That's a very good way to say it. The team is carrying Jimmy. I agree with that. They're overcoming kind of his shortcomings, and I don't want to say overcompensating, but they're kind of filling in where Jimmy can't. Whether it's screen passes, short passes, hands off to Debo, they're overcoming whatever Jimmy kind of can't do. And I think you said it in the chat today too, Matt. The throws, or maybe it was in the show today, over in the middle of the field are fantastic, but once he gets outside the numbers,
it's bad.
It's bad, and we all know that. But the 49ers do a good job of kind of hiding that and not allowing him to mess up with those throws. I saw, just a quick shout out, I saw Frank Gore was watching the game with John Lynch today in the stadium, so I thought that was pretty cool. 49ers legend Frank Gore, always love him. On the flip side, though, I shouldn't say on the flip side, how much does this win, getting 2 in a row now, going into this very, very, we talked about it, important matchup against the Vikings next week at home, this kind of has to give the 49ers some energy, some momentum going into that game. There's no way they could sleep on the Vikings, right? They have to be mentally prepared now, especially after losing 4 straight prior to these 2 games.
You would hope so. Again, the home game is what concerns me. For whatever reason, a lot of times they come out flat in Levi's. Now, it's their normal 125 West Coast start time, which is going to be helpful. It's not a primetime game. I feel like primetime games in a lot of respects have kind of bit them despite the Rams game. And it's not, an East Coast early start, which they took care of. So now they can hop back on the plane, head home with their heads held high, coming off of a really good win. Kyle can give them tomorrow off, and then you come back Tuesday, ready to go. And, you come back in relatively healthy, and, you look at maybe getting Mitchell back. So you kind of plan for the Vikings there. They're going to have to really figure out how this secondary is going to bottle up Justin Jefferson, because that's going to be a tough task. And they're going to have to be able to do that without leaving the door open for Dalvin Cook to just gash them all game. So they have their work cut out for them. But as long as they, again, do the things that they are supposed to do, don't turn the ball over, don't commit stupid penalties, it's going to be a competitive game, and it should be one that the 49ers should be slightly favored in as it stands right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Vikings are kind of hit or miss this season, but they've shown they're capable of putting up, points. Their defense is capable as well. What they did to Green Bay today was impressive. So the 49ers cannot overlook them.
And, you cannot sleep on them. Despite the fact that they're 5-5, all 5 of their losses have been within one score.
Yeah.
So this is a team that's actually really good. And they've been in one score with, like, good teams. So, yeah, you definitely can't sleep on them. You have to take them seriously. You have to come out on fire and ready to go on Sunday. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble, and you're going to have to do what Green Bay had to do today, which is play from behind. And I don't think that the 49ers are capable in the same way that Green Bay is of making up those deficits. Not with Jimmy Garoppolo anyway.
No, unfortunately not. They got to get out early like they have been, get an early lead, protect it, and then hopefully they can just run the clock away. I got to say, the last 2 games, this game and last week on Monday night, the way that they're able to just completely basically erase the first quarter and then end it with some points is extremely impressive. And if they can do that moving forward, continue to do that, I should say, that's a winning formula right there, because the first quarter is basically gone and the other teams barely getting their first possession. So that does a lot. And George Kittle said today too in the post-game press conference, if I'm tired, I know the defense is tired too. And we saw it today, Matt, the 49ers offense, after that very, very long first drive, the Jags offense then comes out and goes 3 and out. And that defense was exhausted. They were just on the field for like 14 minutes straight.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And then another big 49ers drive after that. And then the very next time the Jaguars have the ball, it's one play, fumble the ball. So they had 4 plays and then had to deal with 3 49ers drives that all ended in scores. And so, that defense was exhausted. That's something that the 49ers really need to try to do with Minnesota, is put that defense on their back heels and tire them out quickly. It's just going to make life easier.
Yep. So in the games right now, we have Arizona and Seattle playing. It's 7-up, Arizona over Seattle. Dallas, KC, 9-up, KC. Obviously, this Arizona-Seattle game, we talked about it in the chat.
Yep.
We want Arizona to win because
I just don't think San Francisco can catch Arizona in the standings. So then you're looking at, all right, let's get a team kill then. Like, let's have Arizona just take out Seattle to give us a cushion for Seattle, who's getting Russell Wilson back and who can definitely go on a run. I mean, you look at the 49ers' upcoming schedule. We play Seattle Monday Night Football after we play the Vikings. Then we get Cincinnati at Cincinnati. Then we get the Falcons at home. And, after the Falcons, it's a short week, Thursday night game at Tennessee. There's a couple of tough games in the schedule. January 2nd against the Texans should be a layup, but you never know because the Texans beat Tennessee today. They just have to go out and handle business each and every week. So I'd like Arizona to get us a team deal just to kind of give us a cushion, but they still have to win because you have Minnesota and the New Orleans Saints right there, nipping at their heels. And it's going to be a battle for that last spot for sure.
Yeah, the bottom of the NFC is, I shouldn't say the bottom, the bottom of the wild card, the playoff teams is very, very full. And it's a lot of competitive teams in there. The 49ers find themselves right in the mix. Hopefully they can pull it together and make sure they get the job done. I want to take a quick second though, Matt. We got to shout out MyBookie. MyBookie is doing something really cool this week with Thanksgiving. You can bet $250 risk-free in the Raiders versus Cowboys game on Thursday on Thanksgiving. So you could wager up to $250 against the full spread of the Raiders versus Cowboys games, either wins or is returned to you with as cash with a one-time rollover. So if you wager $250 on the Cowboys against the spread, and if the Cowboys cover, you win. But if the Cowboys don't cover, your $250 wager is refunded as cash with a one-time rollover. This is awesome. You can basically bet guilt-free, risk-free. I should say risk-free, because if you lose, you still win. You get your money back. So go take advantage right now, guys. Go to MyBookie.ag, enter promo code Hive, and you'll get your first deposit 100% matched up to $1,000. And then you can take advantage of the $250 wager match by MyBookie. It's, like I said, completely risk-free. You either win and you win your bet, or you lose and you get your money back. I mean, what could go wrong with that? So once again, mybookie.ag, promo code Hive. Go take advantage of this offer right now, guys. It's only through Thanksgiving, obviously, so go right now, mybookie.ag. Shout out to MyBookie because they're doing some really cool things over there. Let's go ahead and continue with this game, Matt. What impressed you the most? Because it's tough to say. I know the defense played really well. Nick Bosa played really well. What would you say stood out to you the most?
Man, just the cleanness of the football. The lack of penalties and being able to turn the other team over, staying with you in your assignments. I didn't see anything egregious in terms of blown coverages or missed assignments or missed tackles. The defense looked really good. And now you pair it with, something that, it's been in the back of my mind that's coming up. I mean, Dre Greenlaw might be coming back, another couple weeks, and hopefully D Ford can come back. And now you're looking at a defense that's getting healthy at the right time of the year to make a run. So it's really encouraging to see, especially that secondary with as many injuries that they've sustained and gone through, and dealing with the loss of Jason Verrett and kind of dealing with the growing pains of Josh Norman coming in. I mean, it could have been a disaster, but they held it together, especially the last couple weeks. So you can't be upset at that for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Watching I was going to say Broncos, the Jaguars out there were completely undisciplined. I mean, we saw Jenkins get in that fight with Jennings, and it's like, dude, have some situational awareness. I think there was, up to that point, three third down plays where the 49ers didn't convert, but penalties by the Jaguars extended the drives for the 49ers, and they were able to get points. You cannot have that. So I agree with you. A clean football game was very, very vital for the 49ers. And that's exactly what they played. I mean, I don't know how many penalties they ended up committing, but it wasn't too many, and it wasn't game changing. You know what I mean? So it was very impressive. They were very disciplined. And I thought Jennings, too, kept his composure in that situation. I mean, he's literally getting punched, and he was still able to kind of keep his cool and understand, hey, this drive's getting extended because of this guy. So that's a good point. Clean football. Hopefully they can continue to play it. Ace Press says a lot of rookies got a few minutes at the end of the game. Nice to see. We saw Trey Sermon today, finally. He wasn't too explosive.
No.
Yeah, 10 carries for 32 yards. His longest was 12. What did you make of his outing today?
He's definitely – I see why they took him with Trey Lance in mind, because he's a downhill guy. He's there for that RPO. He needs to take the ball and just run through the line. He's not going to be a guy with like great vision and great escapability to the outside. We saw it today when he had that outside run and kind of just put his hand on Trent Williams' ass and went absolutely nowhere. So I think if you can avoid him in space in terms of like trying to get him to the outside or have him try to diagnose a hole to get through, you're better off. But at the same token, the one area where I did like was, Sermon plucked that pass out of the air on that wheel route and was able to get some yardage. So at least as a pass catcher, he looks like he has soft hands, and that's a good thing. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think that any experience that you can get him is going to be good experience. It's not like Jeff Wilson Jr. blew our socks off. You know what I mean? Like, I think I even said it in the chat. It's just like, I've always felt this way. I think that 49ers fans overvalue Jeff Wilson Jr. because of that zero blitz touchdown he had against the Cardinals 2 years ago. Other than that, he hasn't done nearly anything. He's a short yardage back that they put in there on goal lines that scored a lot of touchdowns, but doesn't have a lot of carries. And, he'd have 2 carries for 1 yard and a touchdown. It's just like, Is he really that good, or is he just a name that you associate with touchdowns because you're conditioned to? And I think that that's part of it. I don't think that he's that good. I think he's clearly the third or fourth best running back on this team.
Yeah.
Elijah Mitchell and Jermichael Hasty are both better than Jeff Wilson Jr. Sorry, guys. I mean,
Yeah, I
Mostert's
agree with that.
obviously better than Jeff Wilson Jr., so that puts him at 4.
He had his chance today to shine. He could have taken full advantage of it. Unfortunately, he didn't. Ace, bro, you think Greenlaw gets his spot back over Aziz Al-Shaair?
I think they'll work in rotation. I think that Greenlaw has better sideline to sideline ability. But I mean, Aziz Al-Shaair's come on this year, so there's room for both of them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just going to depend on the situation. I feel like.
Yeah, Al-Shaair's really impressed me this season because
Yeah.
I think he stepped up when the 49ers needed him. And at times he's played better than Warner.
Yeah. Sorry,
What's up?
Express said Wilson Jr. is a good change of pace back. Yeah, if by change of pace you mean you want a second and long instead of a second and short, because 2.6 yards a carry is pretty trash. And that's the second week in a row that he's been like that. So, I mean,
I'd rather
both of his games this season he's been under 3 yards a carry.
Yeah,
it's not good.
I'd rather they just use him as a goal line back,
right,
or blocking back. I think
exactly.
He's
Don't take him away from his bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah. I saw right now Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel were up at the podium together.
I like Deebo's slippery when wet T-shirt, man.
It's cool, man. It's nice to see this team kind of vibing after a tough 4-game stretch. The energy is back, and you can feel it. That's nice. It really is nice. Hopefully,
it was interesting to see because even during the game, you see some of that. There was a part of the game where Kittle came into the huddle. And I don't know why, but, Jimmy's like calling out the play, and you just see George Kittle just like kind of like touch Trent Williams' helmet, like in an encouraging way, like, let's go, big boy, like for no reason. And those little things you kind of pick up on as a team that's like finally gelling and feeling good about themselves and feeling good about each other. Those things are cool to see.
Yeah. Speaking of Trent Williams, they asked him about his touchdown attempt, and he said, that was bad, right? I don't know why coach didn't challenge that or something. That wasn't legal. Once I seen Jimmy throw it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's my time now. Once I left the ground, I got blasted. Definitely didn't expect to be double covered.
Yeah. I like how in Kyle's presser, he was like, yo, I was expecting that if Trent Williams caught that, we were going to have to deal with a penalty.
That's hilarious.
It was like he was going to celebrate very inappropriately.
I was a little surprised they didn't call it, but maybe just because he's a lineman, he's not going to get that call. Like, I don't know. It was very physical.
Maybe they forgot he was tackle eligible for a second.
I didn't hear them announce it, but I don't know if they did.
Yeah, the broadcaster said they didn't announce it either. So,
yeah. Very interesting. Wrapping up here, Matt, any final thoughts about this game or going towards the Vikings?
I think you have to build upon momentum. Just like you really have to, you have to take the wins where you can get them. You have to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And playing this mistake-free football, that's something I think they need to continue to emphasize going forward. The fact that you can get through a game without turning the ball over, without committing a bunch of penalties, this and this and that. I think it's very important going forward that you keep that momentum going because you need to get ahead of the game, right? Don't just wait for the winnable games, the ones that you should win. Go out there and take a couple. And I think that this Vikings team has had their ups and downs. I think coming off of a huge win against Green Bay, that having to travel, they could be right for the taking. And 49ers have to come out and take advantage of that and do the things that they need to do to win the game.
Yeah, I agree. And also, don't underestimate the Vikings. Like you said, all of their losses have been one-score games. The 49ers need to get out to a very hot and early start. Whether it's taking the whole first quarter again, like we've seen the past 2 weeks, that's fine with me. But just make sure they get out on top early because Kirk Cousins, I know he gets a lot of hate, but he's capable. And especially Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, like you said earlier, they're a very, very capable team once they're kind of gelling. So as long as the 49ers kind of keep them off balance and throw everything they can at them, I think they can do it. I think they can take it and finally get above 500 since week 4. So it'll be nice. But with all that said, guys, we appreciate you all tuning in. Hit like, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to give away a 49ers jersey once we reach 2,000 subscribers.
Oh,
It could be you. What's
we
up?
forgot to announce it. We were going to do a giveaway today since we missed the preview show.
We were.
Also, you need to post this because this shit is funny. I sent
What's
you a
up?
tweet. This is going around on Twitter, and it's actually like really ridiculous.
Oh my God. Okay. You want me to pull it
Right?
up on the screen?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second. Let me bear with us, guys.
Bear with us for this. We got layouts upon layouts upon layouts.
Here we go. Here we go.
There we go.
This is hilarious. Oh my God. They're so similar.
Yeah, so if you look, there's a post going around saying that you can't tell Trey Lance and CJ Stroud aren't the same person. So the Ohio State quarterback, they look almost exactly alike. It's pretty crazy.
Wow. That is
Like
insane.
they look like
yeah.
twins.
They're so similar. I hadn't
Yeah.
seen this. That's crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. All
Anyway,
right, guys. Let me change this back.
How about this, guys? If you're in here and if you follow us on Twitter, go ahead and like, comment, retweet the Twitter post. We'll pick a random follower to win a piece of merch out of our store. We missed the preview show. It's about time we did a giveaway anyway. We will announce the winner on what? Wednesday?
That works for me. Yeah.
Wednesday seems like a good day. So it gives you time. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
And our Twitter handles are on the screen right on the bottom of our picture feed. So go follow us on Twitter. Our personal handles are there. You can follow the podcast at RGS Pod, and make sure you follow 49ers Hive as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you guys soon to preview the Vikings game.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We love having you here. So until next time, everyone, go Niners.